Hello, welcome back to Animated Literacy. This is lesson number 23 from the Story, Song, and Action book. In our last lesson, we learned about Sadie Seal and how Sadie Seal likes to surf and she likes to swim. And so we have now changed our black and white picture of Sadie Seal to a colored picture. So we're getting more and more of our words in color. So in this lesson, we are going to be taking Sadie Seal's sound along with other sounds that we've learned and using those to draw and label some pictures. So let's just review a little bit of Sadie Seal first. Remember, her sound is for surfing. And so if we body surf, it looks like this. And if we did it in Are You Sleeping, it would sound this way. Are you surfing? Are you surfing? Sadie Seal, Sadie Seal. Sadie's bells are saying, Sadie's bells are saying, sing song, sing, sing song, sing. If we used our little puppy and our little puppy goes woof woof, this is what it would sound like for Sadie Seal. Little puppy, he says woof, woof, woof. Little puppy, he says woof, woof, woof. Sadie's puppy, he says soof, soof, soof. Remember the gesture. Soof, soof, soof. Sadie's puppy, he says soof, soof, soof. And if we change it from a puppy to a rat, it's going to be like this. Little rat, she says squeak, squeak, squeak. Sadie's rat, she says seek, seek, seek. Sadie's rat, she says seek, seek, seek. And if we did it for our owl, instead of our owl going hoot, hoot, what's our owl going to say? Soot, soot. Little owl, she says hoot, hoot, hoot. Sadie's owl, she says soot, soot, soot. Soot, soot, soot. And we introduced our bee that goes buzz, buzz, buzz. So if we do it for Sadie Seal, little bee, he says buzz, buzz, buzz. Sadie's bee, he says suzz, suzz, suzz. Suzz, suzz, suzz. And if we did it for our lamb, little lamb, she says ba, ba, ba. Sadie's lamb, she says la, la, la. So let's practice what they say. The lamb goes what? Saw, saw. The bee goes suzz, suzz. The rat goes seek, seek. The owl goes soot, soot. And the puppy goes soof, soof. Now let's practice some of our words. Now remember, we talked about before that when we draw words that include the sounds from the characters that we've learned their story and song for, we put them up on a special chart. And these are our keywords, because just like putting a key in a lock to unlock the door, these words are going to unlock how to read all the other words that you need to read in your books. So I hope you're practicing drawing and labeling these over and over again so you get really good at hearing all the sounds in the words and recognizing the letters. So we added a dad, a top, a pot, and a dot in our last lessons. Show me the sounds that you hear in dot, dot. And how do we spell that? D-O-T. Show me the sounds that you hear in top. Say that slowly. Top. So we have t, tickling, going to the doctor, p, paintings, top. And how do we spell top? T-O-P. Today we're going to be learning to draw three different things. And the three things that we're going to be learning to draw and label all have Ollie Ostrich's ah sound in them. They all have Sadie Seal's sound for surfing. And some are also going to have Polly Panda's sound and Timmy Tiger's sound. So, as we always do, we're going to talk about what we already know. Why? We've got to glue the new stuff that I'm teaching you to the old stuff that's already inside your head. So I want you to talk with your parent or your teacher about signs. And we have signs all over the neighborhood and everywhere that you go. And this is a very important sign. What do you think this sign says? This sign says, stop. And if you read this book, it says signs in my neighborhood. You'll find lots of different signs that you can talk about. These signs say one way, because that means you're not supposed to go this way. You're only supposed to go the way the sign points. And here we have another type of sign, a traffic light. And so if it's red up on top, what's that telling the cars to do? Stop. And if you're getting ready to cross the street and it's red, what do you need to do? You need to stop. You have to wait for it to turn what? To turn green. And then here's a sign that we're going to be learning to draw today that is a stop sign. Now, sometimes it's really important that you know how to stop. And I can remember when our daughter was learning to ride her bicycle. I would hold on to the handlebars and I'd hold on to the seat and she'd sit on it and she'd put her feet on the pedals and she'd pedal and have a hard time balancing, and so I'd run beside her. And so we did that several times until one day I was riding beside her and she started pedaling faster than I could run and she just took off. And then I thought to myself, we never talked about stopping. And she'll tell you that she stopped because she ran into something and it wasn't much fun. Well, this is a poem that kind of reminds me of that I really like. And it reads like this. Sunday, I got a brand new bike. Monday, I learned how to ride. Tuesday, I went to my grandmother's house and to the countryside. Wednesday, I pedaled up a hill. Thursday, I reached the top. I'll be home Friday or Saturday, or as soon as I learn how to stop. So that's another one that's kind of fun that goes along with stopping. Here's a Skybrary book that has a very similar poem. And this book is filled with lots of different poems. And the poem about stopping reads like this. And the title of it is Because I Could Not Stop. And it sounds like this. Because I could not stop my bike, it kindly stopped for me. Unluckily, it did not stop until it hit a tree. How fast we rode, at what a speed. I pedaled down the hill. I did not know the brakes were stuck until I took that spill. I must admit it was a thrill to feel so fast and free. I think we would be whizzing still if we'd not hit that tree. And so just like in the other poem, you had to go until you could stop. Now we're going to do a little bit of science in our lesson today, and this is another book from Skybrary, and it has this word called friction. And this is a book all about friction, and in order to stop without hitting a tree on a bicycle, you have to put on the brake. And the reason the brake works is because of this word, friction. Now we can create some friction if you take your hands like this and you rub them together and you push those on those hands really hard. You can start to feel some friction, and it gets harder and harder to move your hands back and forth the harder you push. And you can also feel some heat because friction creates heat. And so the reason your brakes stop your bike is because it takes one surface and it pushes it on another surface, and it pushes hard enough to create that friction to slow down the bike and to make it stop. So friction is really necessary. Now you can see where some things have a lot of friction. If you try to slide with your feet and you run and you try to slide on the street, you're not going to slide very far because you have a lot of friction because it's really rough. But if you ran and you jumped onto a surface that was ice, it would be very slippery and you'd slide a long way before you could stop. So some things have a lot of friction and some have very little. We read in a Skybrary book about tools, and one of the tools that we read about in this book was a saw. Now, when you saw, you create a lot of friction going back and forth when you're cutting the wood, and so that's why it's hard to make that saw move. And here I've got a saw that's been hanging out in my shop for quite a while, and so it has kind of rusted. And so it's the blade of the saw is not very smooth. And so if I tried to cut wood with this, it would be very hard because there would be a lot of friction. So before I would use this saw, I would try to take some oil and some cleaner and clean it up and make it nice and smooth so that it would go back and forth real easily in the wood. When we drew our picture of a saw last time, we didn't put it up in our chart because we didn't have all the sounds that we need to write that word, but today we do. So we're going to draw a saw again, and we'll go ahead and add that to our chart. Another subject to talk about with your parent or with your teacher is animal names and names for pets. And I can remember when I was growing up, we had a book in school that was a Dick and Jane Reader, and this was the first one that said, "We look and see." And in this book, they were naming a dog, and this dog had spots on it. So what do you think they named the dog? They named it Spot. And Eric Hill has written a whole lot of books about another dog named Spot. And this is one that kind of goes with Sadie Seal, because where do you think they're going to? He has an inner tube, he's in his inner tube, and he's got a little bucket here to dig in the sand. So where do you think he's going? This book is Spot Goes to the Beach. And so it starts out like this. Dad and I are taking you to the beach, Spot. So here's Spot, and he's getting all excited about going to the beach. Spot wants to buy something. What do you think Spot wants to take to the beach? And we'll just read one more page here. You really spoil him, Sam, because it gets him too many things. So this is another dog named Spot. And we're going to draw a picture of a pup again, like we did before, only we're going to name our pup Spot and write his name. So let's all get our paper out, so we're ready to draw. Get your pen out, and on the count of 3, we're going to take the cap off our pen. 1, 2, 3. Turn your pen around, put your cap on the other side, and show me when you're ready to draw a stop sign. Now, to draw our stop sign, the first thing we have to do is draw an octagon. And an octagon is a shape that has 8 sides to it. So for our first side, we're going to draw a straight line like this. Then we're going to come down and make another straight line at the bottom. So you've got 2 straight lines about the same length. Then we're going to come out with a straight line, make a point like that, and then we're going to come out with another straight line and up to that one. So this octagon is not quite as nice as a regular stop sign, but it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, that's not right. It's supposed to have 8 signs. So we're going to have to do that one again. Let's do exactly the same thing, only this time we'll, instead of a hexagon that has 6 sides, we're going to make an octagon that has 8 sides. So we'll make a line just like we did before up at the top. Then we're going to come down and make another line. Now what I forgot to do in this one is we're going to come out here and make a line, and then come out here and make a line. So now we've got one line here, one here on top of each other, and here. Now if we connect them, we'll get an octagon. So there's connecting to there, connecting to there, connecting to there, and connecting to there. Now this octagon's kind of stretched, so it's not going to look exactly like a stop sign, but it's close enough. Now we need to put that stop sign up on top of a pedestal. So we're going to make a line down here and a line here. And then we can make a base for our stop sign like this. Now stop signs have kind of like 2 lines going around. So we're going to make another line here, another line here, another line here, and here. And just like we did before, we're going to connect those lines. And so we've got an octagon inside an octagon. Now we need to write the word stop. So say stop. Stop. What's the first sound you hear? S. So we're going to make a nice S inside our sign. What's the next sound you hear? Stop. Stop. T for tickling. So we're going to spell that with a T. And when we write our stop sign, we're going to make all capital letters. So we'll put the T right on top there. Say the word again. Stop. Ah for Ollie. So now we're going to make a big O. And what's the last sound you hear in stop? Stop. Painting for Polly Panda. So a straight line down and come around and halfway down. And now we've drawn a picture of our stop sign. Okay. Now, if you look at the word stop, and I cover up the T, that's another word that we learned last time. What does that word say? That word says top. So the word stop has the word top inside it. Okay. Now, let's come over here, and we're going to draw a picture of our saw. And so when we made our saw, we started out with a curve like this. So make a little curve. Then we came over here and we made a little curve coming up and like that. That's kind of a kidney bean shape. So it has sort of like a kidney bean. Now we'll make another curve here up on top, and we'll give it an ear and another ear. Then we'll come down from our ear on each side, and then we'll come back up here for the handle of our saw. Now for the blade of the saw, we're going to make a straight line out, straight line down, and now we need to make the teeth of the saw so that our saw can cut. So we're going to come 1, 2, and just make a zigzag line all the way across for the teeth of your saw. And now we've drawn a picture of a saw. So everybody say the word saw. Saw. What do you hear first? S for surfing. And how does Sadie Seal spell that? With an S. Now say the word saw again. Saw. Now if we look at Ollie Ostrich here and look at his picture, you'll see that Ollie can spell his sound more than one way. He can spell it with an O, he can spell it with an AU, he can spell it with an AW, and he can spell it with an AL. How many ways is that? 4 different ways to spell the sound. In the word saw, we're going to use AW. So let's put a circle, put a line for next to it for an A, and then just like the teeth on the saw, we're going to angle down, up, up. So we have a zigzag line, and that says saw. How many sounds are in saw? Saw. Saw. 2 sounds. But how many letters in saw? 1, 2, 3. Why? Because the A and the W go together. Okay, now we're going to draw a picture of our pup, only we're going to give our pup a name this time. So we've drawn our pup several times, so we should be able to do that pretty easily. So let's come over here and let's make 2 circles for eyes. Now let's put a dot inside each circle for the pupils. Now we'll give our pup a circle for a nose, 2 curves for a mouth, a curve for the tongue, some dots making little circles and coloring them in for the whiskers, and we learned how to read the word dot last time. Show me when you're ready for the head. Nice big circle for the head. What came next? Ears, all the way down from the top of the scalp to the chin. Top of the scalp, back down around to the chin. And what comes next? Our pup needs legs. So we're going to come down, across, and back up. And a line down the middle. So how many legs does he have? 2 legs. And now he needs paws. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And what's last? What does he still need? Our pup needs a tail. Okay, now we learned how to write the word pup. What was the first sound in pup? P. P for painting. So let's make a straight line and a curve. What's the next sound in pup? Pup. U for Uncle Upton. P for Polly Panda. And there was our word pup. So we should be getting really good at reading and writing the word pup. Now we were going to give our pup a name. So let's put a spot on our pup. So I'm going to put a circle here and color it in. So there's a spot on our pup. Now I could come out here and put a little spot on the side. So here's another spot. So you can decide how many spots you want to put on your pup. Now we're going to name our pup Spot. So everybody say Spot. What do you hear first? S for surfing. Now because this is his name, he gets a capital S. So a curve like that, like a C, and then back around like that. Okay, now let's say that again. Spot. Spot. What do you hear next? P. Painting. So now it's going to be a lowercase p, so it's going to go down below, and then a curve halfway down that. What's the next sound you hear in spot? Spot. Ah. So we're going to put an O this time. And what's the last sound you hear in spot? Spot. T for tickling. So we're going to make a T that's a little bit taller than our O. And this isn't a capital T, so we're going to come up a little over halfway and cross it. And Spot is also a noun, but it's called a proper noun because it's his name, and that's why it got a capital letter. So there's Spot. So what 3 words did we draw today? We drew saw, stop, and spot. And what shape did we put this in? It has 8 sides, so it's called an octagon. And when I made a mistake over here, it only gave it 6 sides. What did we call that? That was called a hexagon, but a stop sign uses an octagon, not a hexagon. So now, in the story song and action book, you have a puzzle for your stop sign. And this one says, can you stop that top? So there was a stop the top spinning, and it's asking if you can stop that top from spinning. And then again, you can fold it, write your sentence on the back and draw your picture. And you can also put it into the song for Skip to My Lou. I can cut like a saw, I can stop like a car. So you could put some things in there. So thank you very much for joining me, and we'll practice those words again, and hopefully I'll see you in our next lesson.